Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the concept of problem solving on layered attacks and mitigating risks. Layered attacks and mitigating risks. So each and every layer have different types of security protocols, and each and every layer have different types of attacks also. So here the overview of the attacks are going to be explained in the different layers. So how each and every layer is having different protocols to transfer the data from source to destination. So here the concepts which we are going to discuss in this analysis. So first one is what attacks in different layers. So what are the different types of attacks? So we already know that there are 7-layer architecture. So all the 7-layer architecture contains what? Application layer, session layer, then next presentation layer, application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So what are the 7 layers? So first one is what? Application layer. Second one is what? Presentation layer. And third one is what? Session layer. The next fourth one is what? Transport layer. And fifth one is what? Network layer and data link layer and physical layer. So each and every layers are forwarded the data from one layer to another layer. One layer to another layer. At the moment, the protocol will help you to transfer the data from one layer to another layer. So at the moment, some different types of attacks are attacking each and every layer. Some sort of attacking are attacked by the attackers in each and every layer. So attacks in different layers we are going to explain. And what are the security technologies like firewalls, password managements, and installing antivirus softwares, and these are all some sort of security technologies, and link layer security, so data link layer security, network layer security, transport layer security, application layer security. So these are all the concepts. These are all the concepts which we are going to discuss in this session. So here the attacks in different layers. So that indicates that what? Each and every layer presented different types of attacks at the moment of data transmission. So to do not attack the targeted layer, we have to implement some sort of security technologies. So providing security for each and every layer, like providing security at data link layer, providing security at a network layer, providing security at a transport layer, and providing security at application layer. So for each, providing security for all the layers is very much complicated, but we have to reduce the attack percentage or attack scenarios. We have to reduce the attacking mechanism on each and every layer. So here we can see the different types of attacks on different layers. So we already said that there are 7 layers in the OSA reference model. So application layer is one layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, and data link layer, physical layer. So this is all OSA reference model. Along with that, the TCP/IP model is also having both application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So these two gathered as a physical link layer or data link layer, and the network layer is treated as internet layer, and transport layer is common, and application plus presentation plus session layer is called as application layer. So here the each and every protocols are presented to forward the data to the next layer. So the data transmission is forwarding from one layer to another layer. At the moment, all the protocols will help you to forward the data from one layer to another layer. So here the application layer, the layer 7, having some sort of protocols like DNS, DHCP, domain name server, dynamic host configuration protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, file transfer protocol, internet message authentication protocol, so data accessing protocol, network topology protocol, radius, secure socket hash authentications, simple mail transfer protocol, simple network management protocol, telnet commands, and file transfer protocol. So file transfer protocols. So these are all the protocols are presented in the application layer to forward the data for the user queries. Forward the data for the user queries. At this moment, some attacks are attacking on the layer. So, what are the types of attacks attacking on that each layer? Is the one DNS poisoning is one type of attack. DNS poisoning is one type of attack, and phishing is also one type of attack. Phishing is also one type of attack. And SQL injection is also one type of attack. And spam or scam messages. Spam or scam messages also one type of attacks. One type of attack. So all these types of protocols are presented to forward the data from one layer to another layer, forward the data from source to destination. At the moment, some attacks are attacking on the targeted layer. So here DNS poisoning is one type of attacking mechanism. Phishing is also one type of attacking mechanism. SQL injection is also one type of attacking mechanism. Spam or scam messages. Spam or scam messages. And the session layer. So in the session layer, so SMB is one type of protocol. Network file storage is one type of protocol. And the SOCKS is one type of protocols. And here transport layer, so layer 4 also having some protocols like TCP and UDP. At this particular layer, some attacks are there. TCP attacks, routing attacks, so indirectly you can say that routing information protocol attacks, and synchronous flooding attacks, and synchronous flooding attacks, and sniffing attacks. And network layer, so in the network layer there are two types of attacks: ping attacks, that means ping flood attacks, or else ICMP flood attacks. And for this data link layer there are the protocols PPTP protocol, point to point protocol, and token ring protocol. So for this, ARP spoofing and MAC flooding is two types of protocols. These two types of attacks are attacking on the targeting layer. So DNS poisoning and phishing and SQL injections, spam or scam in application layer. TCP attacks, routing attacks, synchronous flooding attacks. These are all attacks at transport layers. And ping attacks, ICMP flood attacks at network layer. And ARP spoofing attacks, MAC flooding attacks at different data link layer. So like the way all the attacks are attacking on the target machine in the each and every layer. So here we can understand that layer 2 attacks are what? ARP spoofing, MAC attacks, that is nothing but medium access control attacks, DHCP attacks, dynamic host configuration protocol attacks, and VLAN hopping. So virtual local area network hopping. But in the layer 3 attacks are ICMP ping flood attacks, so sending multiple pings to the target address. ICMP Smurf attacks, and the next ping of death attacks. So here the address resolution protocol spoofing attacks, that indicates that they are maintaining the address as a duplicate. They are sending requests with a duplicate address. They are sending a message or requests with a duplicate addresses. And MAC attacks. So medium access control attacks. These attacks are attacked by the medium. They are maintaining the medium. So what type of medium it is using? And DHCP attacks, dynamic host configuration protocol attacks, and virtual local area network hopping attacks. So these are all some layer 2 and layer 3 attacks are attacking on the target machine with the help of different layers. So from this ARP spoofing, ARP spoofing is what? What is meant by ARP spoofing? So ARP stands for what? Address Resolution Protocol. Address Resolution Protocol. So the here the system, the source or the attacker is going to use an address which is a duplicate address, So here this is the source, and he wants to attacking on any of the target system. He want to attacking on the any of the target system. So what he's doing? So client's ARP cache already poisoned. It will communicate directly to the fake destination. So here the the source address is what? 10.0.0.3. So 10.0.0.1 is the source address, and he wants to connect 10.0.0.3. So what is telling? I want to connect to 10.0.0.3. I don't know the MAC address. I don't know the MAC address of this one. So what he's doing? He is sending ARP requests to all these. ARP requests to all these. So at this moment, the 10.0.02 is not replying, and 10.0.03 is replying. But instead of replying with this one, along with this ARP reply, the 10.0.0.4 is also giving a reply like duplicate address maintaining. So what is doing? I am 10.0.0.3, and this is my MAC address. This is my MAC address. Like the way he is sending a message. He is sending a false MAC address, false ARP reply to the source mission. False ARP reply to the source mission, so that the source is going to be attacked by this attacker. Source is going to be attacked by this attack mission. So this is the way ARP spoofing is happening. So here the client's ARP cache already poisoned. So already it is poisoned, and it will communicate directly to the fake destination. It will directly communicate to the fake destination. So automatically when it comes a fake, it is automatically communicated to the destination, fake destination. And second one is MAC flooding. Second one is what? MAC flooding. So exploit the limitations of all switches. Exploit the limitations. So switches can limit the range of network. So it exploits the limitation of all switches, and fixed cam table size. Fixed cam table size. So cam is nothing but what? Content addressable memory. Content addressable memory that stores information on the mapping of individual MAC addresses, to physical ports on the switch. So what it is doing is what? Content addressable memory stores information on the mapping of individual MAC addresses to physical ports on the switch. So here the switch is there. For this switch, all the pieces, all the systems are system 1, system 2, system 3 are going to be mapped with their physical addresses with the switches. So all these are physically mapped with the switches. So here the port indicates that the port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. So here the systems having their MAC addresses. So port 2 having MAC address, port 3 having MAC addresses, port 4 having MAC address. So all these MAC addresses are mapped to the switches. So that is what it is going to be maintain the limitation of assigning the MAC addresses to the physical devices or like hubs, switches, anything. Next one, DHCP attacks. So DHCP attacks. So DHCP stands for what? Dynamic host configuration control, configuration protocol, dynamic host configuration protocol, which which assigns IP addresses to the range of IP addresses to the specific systems. It assigns the range of IP addresses to the specific systems or specific target machines. So what it does do? DHCP starvation attacks. So in the point of view DHCP, it attacks DHCP starvation attacks are happening. So broadcasting vast number of DHCP requests with a spoofed map. So what these attacks are giving means it broadcasting a different number of DHCP requests with a spoofed MAC address simultaneously. So they are sending spoofed MAC addresses. They are sending spoofed MAC addresses or DHCP requests. Number of DHCP requests and DOS attacks using DHCP leases. So denial of service attacks using DHCP leases. That means the DHCP lease is registered for a particular time, registered for particular time. But if the particular time period is exceeded, then the DHCP lease will expire. DHCP lease will expire. So at that moment, the service is interrupted. The service gets interrupted. So that's why DOS attacks using DHCP leases. So based on the DHCP lease, DOS service attacks are also happening. And rogue DHCP server attacks. Rogue DHCP server attacks. So here, attacker sends many different DHCP requests with many spoofed addresses. So server runs out of IP addresses to allocate to valid users. So by sending many different DHCP requests to these systems, to the targeted systems, automatically the server is going to be run out of IP addresses. Server is going to be run out of addresses to allocate to valid users. To allocate valid users, so that all the targeted systems are handed over into the attacker. And here DHCP attack types. The solution for enable DHCP snooping. The solution is what we have to enable DHCP spoofing. So to avoid this DHCP attack types, to avoid this DHCP attacks, what we are finding the solution is what? Enable DHCP snooping. Enable DHCP snooping. So here how to enable the DHCP spoofing means, so IP space DHCP space snooping, IP space DHCP space snooping. So it enables DHCP snooping globally. It enables DHCP snooping globally. And the IP DHCP snooping very LAN, that is virtual LAN, for specific virtual LANs. And the IP DHCP snooping trust also. IP DHCP snooping trust also. And also IP DHCP snooping limit rate also. The next, ping flood. So ping flood attacks. So how the ping flood attacks? By sending multiple pings to the target system. So he is the attacker and he is the victim, and this is the internet which attacker uses, as well as the victim also uses. So now the attacker use the internet to send multiple pings to the target address. So here the broadcast enabled network. This is internet is what for broadcast enabled network. That means all the systems are connected and utilized public internet. All the systems are connected and utilized public network. So this is the public network, and they are utilizing this public network. And now attacker, now attacker is going to use this internet to sending multiple ping requests, sending multiple ping requests to the target mission, sending multiple ping requests to the target mission. So now the victim is going to give the reply to the particular ping request. So automatically the ping request is taken by the reply. Then attacker will hand over the system of the victim. So now the victim system is handed over to the attacker, handed over to the attacker. And here other forms of ICMP attacks are ping of death attacks and ICMP ping flood attacks. So other forms of ICMP attacks are what? Ping of death attacks and ICMP ping flood attacks. ICMP ping flood attacks. So how to mitigate that sniffing attacks? How to mitigate that sniffing attacks? So how to mitigate that? So attacks are for each and every layer. Attacks are for each and every layer. But how we are going to mitigate that all the sniffing attacks? How we are going to mitigating all these sniffing attacks? So for that, what we have to do? Avoid using insecure protocols like basic HTTP, authentication, and a telnet. So avoid insecure protocols for the websites. Avoid insecure protocols for the websites or data. So by avoiding that insecure protocols also, we have to implement some sort of security. Some sort of security. If you have to use an insecure protocol, try tunneling it through something to encrypt the sensitive data. So if we are using insecure protocol, at least try to tunneling to encrypt the data, encrypt the sensitive data. At least we have to maintain some sort of information, some sort of data to be encrypted, and run ARP watching, address resolution protocol, has to be maintained. Try running tools like SniffDet and Sentinel to detect network cards. SniffDet is one type of tool. SniffDet is one type of tool, and Sentinel is also one type of tool. So use these two tools. So try to running these two tools to detect network cards. In Prometheus mode, that may be running sniffing software. So maximum attack on the target system. What we have to do? We have to use some different types of network scanning techniques, or else we have to use secure protocols, or else we have to use some security devices also. Without these, we are not able to mitigating the sniffing attacks. We are not going to mitigating not only sniffing attacks. We are not able to mitigating all the attacks. So better to avoid insecure protocols, and so some sort of techniques are better to avoid insecure protocols, and better to maintain security devices, and better to perform scanning, scanning also important. So by doing all the things, we can able to mitigate that sniffing attacks. So this is all about mitigating of sniffing attacks and routing attacks. So routing attacks are nothing but attempt to poison the routing information. So these routing attacks are happened in the network layer. So here the attempt to poison the routing information. So the attacker trying to attempt to poison the routing information. So whatever the routing information is maintained by routing table, that is going to be poisoned. That is going to be poisoned. And the distance vector routing also. Distance vector routing also. So announce zero distance to all other nodes. So it announce bogus routing. So it announce bogus routing, that indicates that what? It announce that zero distance to all other nodes, and black hole traffic leaves drop. And the second one is what? Link state routing. Link state routing. So it can drop links randomly. It can drop links randomly, and it can climb direct link to any other routes. Direct link to any other routers. So a bit harder to attack than distance vector routing. So it is somewhat harder to attack than distance vector routing. So link state routing, here it can drop links randomly. So the links will be lost, and it can climb direct link to any other routers. Direct link to any other routers. And bit harder to attack than DB. Next, BGP attacks. So border gateway protocol attacks. Border gateway protocol attacks. AS can announce arbitrary prefix. ASS can announce that arbitrary prefix, and SS can alter the path also. Border path is there. Border path is also altered. So these are all some sort of routing attacks. And the TCP attacks. So here the synchronous flood is one attack that occurs when an attacker sends synchronous requests in succession to a target. So the TCP protocol, the attacker sends multiple synchronous requests to reach the target, or to make handover to the target, and it causes a host to retain enough state for bogus half connection, such that there are no resources left to establish new legitimate connections. And it exploits TCP three-way handshake. It exploits the TCP three-way handshake. And the attacker sends a series of synchronous packets without replying with the acknowledgement packet. And finite queue size for incomplete connections. So number of queue size is also incomplete connections. Number of queue size is also there. So here the attacker attacking the server by sending multiple synchronous requests. Sending multiple synchronous requests. So at that moment, server is doing what? Server is going to be sending some acknowledgements to this synchronous request. So sending acknowledgements to this synchronous requests. And here the attacker cannot give acknowledgement, because he has to hand over this server, because of the synchronous requests are successful. And application layer attacks. So applications don't authenticate properly. But authentication information is to be clear. So FTP, file transfer protocol, telnet protocol, post office protocol. So in this, authentication is to be clear. And the DNS insecurity. So at the moment of DNS insecurity also, the application layer is going to be attacked. So at that moment, DNS poisoning will occur, and the DNS zone transfer is also occur. And also some sort of scripting vulnerabilities. Cookies poisoning. buffer overflow, buffer overflow, hidden field manipulation, hidden field manipulations, parameters tampering, parameters tampering, cross-site scripting, cross-site scripting, and SQL injection, SQL injection. So these are all some sort of or some types of layered attack. Layered attacks are nothing but application layer attack. Application layer attacks. And web application security risks. Web application security risks. So what are the security risks associated with web application? What are the security risks associated with web application? So injection is one type of security risk. That may be either SQL injection. That may be either SQL injection. And the second one is what cross-site scripting, and broken authentication and session management. Broken authentication and session management. Insecure direct object references. Insecure direct object references. Cross-site request forgery. That is nothing what you can write. Cross-site request forgery or else CSRF. Cross-site request forgery. Insecure cryptographic storage. Insecure cryptographic storage. And next, failure to restrict URL access. Failure to restrict URL access. That means if you want to access the URL, then it is going to be failure to restrict URL access. So, insufficient transport layer protection. Insufficient transport layer protection. At this moment also security risk will be there. And unvalidated redirects and forwards. Unvalidated redirects and forwards. So in this moment also the security risks will be applied. Security risks will be applied. So this is all about the security risks associated with layered architecture. So once again we revise the topics which we discussed in this session. So here there are different types of attacks are there. But before going to understand all the attacks in the each and every layer, we have to understand that what attacks in different layer. What are the security technologies? What are the security technologies that we are implementing? And the link layers, how to provide the security for individual layers like link layer, network layer, transport layer, application layer, and all the layers. So here each and every layer represents its protocols and its attacks. So each and every layer presents its protocols and its layers. Its protocols and its attacks. So here layer 2 attacks are what? IARE spoofing attacks, MAC attacks, DHCP attacks, Maryland hopping attacks. And layer 3 attacks are ICMP ping flood attacks, ICMP smurf attacks, ping of death attacks. And here IARE spoofing, how it is attacking on the target machine. And here MAC flooding, how MAC addresses will be mapped with the hub, mapped with the switches. And DHCP attacks, how they are sending multiple DHCP requests to the target systems to attacking on the target system. And DHCP attacker solution is enable DHCP spoofing. And ping flood attacks, so sending multiple ping requests to the target machine throughout broadcasting network. And how to mitigate sniffing attacks. So better to avoid insecure protocols, better to avoid insecure connections also, and better to use some sort of scanning techniques. Better to maintain security devices. And routing attacks. So advertise bogus routing information to all other nodes on the routing. So how collapse the link state routing, and it announces arbitrary fields. So it can alter the path also. And TCP attacks, so sending multiple synchronous requests to the target machine. At that moment, the target machines are giving reply, giving acknowledgement with the synchronous request to the target machine, like attacker. And here some sort of application layer attacks. So what are those? DNS insecurity, DNS poisoning, DNS zone transfer, scripting vulnerabilities, cookie poisoning, buffer overflow, hidden field manipulations, parameter tampering, cross-site injection, and web application security risks. Security risks are associated with web applications like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, broken authentication and session management, insecure direct object references, cross-site request forgery, insecure cryptographic storage, failure to restrict URL access, insufficient transport layer protection, and unvalidated redirects and forwards. Invalidated redirects and forwards. So this is all about how the attacks are attacking on each and every layer, and what are the mitigating risks, mitigating steps or mitigating risks to all the attacks on the each and every layer. Thank you all.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.